technical difficulties are something else, aren't they? Well, welcome to
Yes.
Q&A with Queen. And
April.
I couldn't hear you, April.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah. Q&A with Queen and April. Okay, that was Q&A with Queen and April. I hope you guys could hear us. Welcome to our channel. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. April, you are not centered in your screen. You look like you are in the wrong side of the screen, so
I
you need to move over a
know.
little bit.
It's
You're not centered. You got to go the
yeah.
other way. You need to move to the other side until you see
I'm
yourself
here now.
centered.
I'm here now.
If you haven't been to our channel before, we would like for you to like, share, and subscribe. And also, if you'd like to know when we're on, please hit the notification bell so you'll know when we're live. And we apologize for being 3 or 4 minutes late, but these are what we call technical difficulties. Again, welcome to Q&A with Queen and
April.
April. Anyway, delay. And today's topic is pretty interesting. But before we begin today's topic, I do want to share an opening quote. We always start with a little quote. It says, "Sometimes you win and sometimes you learn." Not necessarily lose.
Mm.
So, one of the questions is, a lot of people usually ask us the question of, do I really need representation? And before I also begin, I forgot to ask you, April, how was your weekend? It's always good to hear how you're doing and catch up.
Well, thank you. So, as you said, it may be a bit of a little lag. This was an interesting weekend for me. It was mixed with fun, relaxation, but there was some pain in there too because I had some dental work. So, I'm going to be limited on my speaking today. I'm feeling a lot better, but
Lies.
yeah, I'm feeling a
The
whole lot better. At
lie.
least I can look, at least I can open my mouth and speak now.
You look fine, okay?
Thank
I, on the other
you.
hand, have not slept because I've been doing Stuff the Bus. I don't know if you can see the whole thing, but it's Stuff the Bus. It's a back to school
Ooh.
initiative to help the community raise donations for school supplies. So we get school supplies. We don't get any money, just school supplies. I got a big old bus. It's a huge bus. I didn't even know a bus was 34 feet. From window to the tires, 29 feet. And then from the front, not the caboose, the front part of the bus with that is another. I was like, that's a big bus. It can hold 75 people. I didn't know that. It's not the short bus,
Mhm.
that someone used to. I never took a bus, so I'm just gonna say I never took a bus.
Are you sure about
Went to
that?
private school. We had to get dropped. Well, the statistics show, based on my education background, that it's almost impossible that I would have been okay with it, because I would have been a good news story had I taken the short bus and ended up where I ended up. So I would go ahead and pat my little non-taking short bus self on the back. But yeah, we didn't have a bus. In private school, you had to drop your kid off, pick your kid up. So, but until the 19th, not 19th, sorry, until the 19th, when we deliver the goods to the church. So until the 21st, I'm going to be a little hemmed up. Back to the topic at hand. Do I need representation? Did you want me to go first? Because I got a lot to say about this one here, right? First of
Well,
all,
before you
I'm not
get
going to say if you
started,
need representation or you don't.
mhm,
Hmm.
I was going to say, before you get started, I want to say hi to Miss Shan to you. She's in the chat and she did say hello, ladies. So we want to recognize you. Thanks so much for joining
Oh,
us. Go ahead,
hey!
Queen.
What I
So
was going to
spill the
say
beans.
is, with representation, yes. I'm not going to say if you should or shouldn't right off the back. I'm going to wait and see what Miss April got to say. But I feel like it is most people, real estate is about the largest investment of anything they've ever purchased. It's one of the biggest and most valuable asset, unless you have a plane or a boat. And the average person just settles on probably the house. Whereas maybe if you're super rich or gazillionaire, you might get higher. But for the most part, real estate is probably your most prized and the largest asset that you could ever purchase. So if you want to go out here and jump in the pool without a life jacket, I mean, that's all I got to say. Go ahead, April. Take it away.
Well, I'm going to have to say, I'm kind of with you when it comes to should I have representation or should I not. For me, it all depends, right? It depends on your experience. And I have to tell you, even the most experienced real estate brokers and agents, sometimes they even hire individuals to work on their behalf because time is something you can't buy back, right? You can't get it back once it's gone. So, yeah, there's several benefits for why you should use representation, and I'm sure we'll cover some of those this evening. And there are several kind of many pitfalls that you could end up in for not getting proper representation. You want to add to that, Queen?
When you when you started, you said well, it depends. So why don't we start off with, and I don't know of any reason, but I want you to share with me because I'm a little limited in my thinking, why you don't. It depends on if you don't get it, not why you should, but tell me the examples of where you don't need representation. Because I usually when I'm selling my property in the state, the only time I don't need representation for me is if I'm in my area that I learn for expertise. But we're not talking about professionals. Let's remove professionals off the table. Let's talk about regular lay people, everyday non-licensed individuals. Let's stick with that for that moment. And let's talk about, you said it depends. So when it depends and why.
So in this instance, you hit the nail on the head with the it depends, because I was going into if you are a professional or if you are not. If you are not a professional, if this is not your something that you do on a regular basis, you definitely need, without question, representation. Oftentimes you'll have
Yeah, but I
people
watch
there.
HGTV.
Well, one of the things, there's something called editing. And so you don't always get to
What I
see
watch
all
Selling
of the
Sunset.
retakes. You don't always get to see all of the retakes and the let's roll that back and action and and especially when we're watching TV, right? TV has a way of really compacting time, making it seem like a thing can happen instantaneously, when in actuality the recording of that episode took maybe multiple weeks, multiple hours. But you don't see that in an edited clip, a show that's been created a lot of times for entertainment, right? Because if it was really
Well,
informational.
I've been watching. Yeah, but I've been watching it for 10 years. So by now, I think I have enough information that I've seen so many episodes that I believe I know everything you can know about real estate. I'm pretty, versed. Yeah.
Well, one thing about TV, and that's even with news, you only get what we want or what they want you to get. There are a lot of rules, regulations,
Mhm.
and guidelines and things that happen behind the scenes that are not shown on TV, right? Let's take, for
Yes,
example, a
I
person
agree.
going out and they're looking at three houses, and then they sit down and and it looks like they've looked at these three houses over a period of 2 days maybe at max, and then they sit down and they sign a contract. You didn't see all the time and effort and energy and the conversations going back and forth between not only the buyer and the seller's agent, the buyer and the seller, but just even attorneys sometimes. You don't see all the television. You don't see it. And
Yeah,
you don't see, there
I
are
agree.
certain guidelines. Yeah, there are certain rules and regulations and codes that professional agents have to adhere to. That's not shown on what is it? HD TV? HGTV?
HGTV. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people do believe that they can be a real estate agent because they saw a show or they heard about it or their mom and them bought a house. You know, the one I love is I've sold houses before. I know what y'all do. Anybody can do it. If you have a license, you can sell real estate, which is what most people do. That's why they go get their license and they have no experience. What they don't
Yep,
know is what they don't know. And if you don't know what you don't
that's
know because
it.
it's not your wheelhouse, that would be equivalent to me going to you on your job as an engineer and telling you about C++ language and I don't even know A, B, or C. But yet I saw it on TV and I figured it was X, Y, and Z. You don't do that. So when people do tell me things about, my mama told me, I saw it on TV, I was watching some, all this that they were saying, I have to break it down and say, well, do you think that maybe I could learn your job in a week or two or however long? Would you think I'd be able to perform that job well? What you see and what you hear, you said there are holes that you don't know are missing. So you're getting a
Hmm.
30-minute pie of something that like that could happen over 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes maybe with the client for months. And with
Exactly.
HGTV especially, I know the show and been there. It could be over a period of 6 months because you have to find the house, then you have to not move in it so they can film, and then you move in it so they film you again. It's a real long
Hmm.
process. They don't show you the many
That's
houses that
it.
people didn't go for. They only show you the three that they thought could trick you into thinking which one they would pick. You have to get people out their homes to film those houses. You got to find houses that are willing to allow you to film them. It's a real
Yes.
entertainment ball of wax. But no one seems to realize that until they hear the truth behind the scenes of what we really do, from going online, from spending countless hours up looking at properties, doing research, market analysis, CMAs, making sure they're qualified, making sure they don't show you anything.
None of
Showing the
it.
clients changing their mind, picking things they say wanted but they didn't want. They told you they wanted a two-story, but they ended up with a flat. What happens if their mom and them came in the picture, told them not to get that house? They got a different house. There's a ton and a plethora of things that go on that nobody sees, from the title to the home inspection. They don't show of that on HGTV.
None
They
of
show you three
it.
houses. They loved it. They pick one at the end. Now they're smiling and the whole family's in there eating Cheetos. That's what they
And
show.
I'd like to
So,
say, as you
but
mentioned, yeah,
yeah,
I'd like to say, as you mentioned, you don't know what you don't know. A lot of times people are
that's it.
unaware of the options that are available to them. For example, shared cost, right? It's that you've heard the
Mhm.
saying, what is it? Don't ask, don't tell. The sellers are oftentimes willing to do quite a bit, but if the buyer doesn't know or think to ask, the seller isn't volunteering that information. Not at all. So
Well, let me give
oftentimes
you a good
money,
example.
go
Let me
ahead.
give you a good
Hmm.
example. I was going to give you a good example of that. So, when you
Go
work in new
ahead.
construction and you are a site agent,
That's it.
the person sitting at a desk is representing the seller. Here comes the buyer, and the buyer is clueless about representation, or maybe they do know about representation. So the ones who
Mhm.
don't know about representation, they come in pretty green. The ones who do know
Very.
about representation think they're getting a deal if they don't use an agent. So let's start with the ones who don't know about representation. Their client, their agent may have told them this, but maybe it went over their head. They weren't aware. They couldn't remember. They walk in as a suspect. They're not even a prospect yet. They're a suspect. They saw the flag waving and they said, I want to stop in here one day and look at this house. They fall in love with charming, wonderful site agent's personality. She's sweet and kind and helpful and caring, and she takes the time to show them the house. And before you know it, The love fest gets deeper and they're getting ready to get married because they want to sign a contract. They done forgot
Yes.
about their agent. They don't remember anything about nothing. This woman at the desk is charismatic. Imagine
That's
it's a
it.
me at the desk. And I'm so
Or me.
charismatic that this girl, right, she doesn't even know her agent's name at this point. It's like, wait a minute, you forgot your agent's name. So now we've signed and entered into a contract. So then you went from a suspect to a prospect to a buyer, and then I get a phone about 6 months in the building process, and the and the agent goes, "Hey, my client came in there and she bought a house," and I'm like, "Well, that's strange because she didn't say agent. She signed the documents that said she didn't, and she didn't know your name." So the bad news is if you're unforgettable, that's partly the problem. The second
Mm-hmm.
bad news is that the client is there because when that client walks in green and I've got incentives in my hand or behind my back and there's no agent there, I'm not giving away the farm. But if
No, you're
there's an
not.
agent who knows the builders and they know the negotiation tools, they walk in with incentives on their mind. Something like, my client really loves this property. However, builder B, C, and D was giving closing costs. Are you offering any closing costs and any options on your home?
That's it. Negotiations 101. Mm-hmm.
Yes, some people that without an agent, you're getting a better ride. Well, my cousin came to me one day and he literally was talking and conversing with his neighbor, and they bought a house around the same time. What they didn't realize, who didn't have an agent, was that builders like to get things off their books by October, November so they can close out the year. And I
Yes.
negotiated a really beautiful deal for him. And he went to the guy who didn't have an agent and he goes, "Wait a minute, you got what? And what? And what?" He goes, "I got closing costs. I got an upgraded package. I got flooring and nothing." And I said, "Why did you tell him
Mm-hmm.
that?" He goes, "I didn't realize he didn't get that. So I was just being, chopping it up. And I didn't even agent. He told him, if you had my cousin, you would have gotten the world." So
That's it.
we're cousins and I get him stuff all, but in that representation. So it
That's
is what it
it.
is. Some people don't like it. And then you have the sellers. Do you want to take the sellers? There's those sellers who, let's hear what you have to say about sellers with no representation.
So when it comes to the sellers with no representations, and this is a huge one, oftentimes money is truly being left on the table, right? They're not aware of the true value of their home. And I forgot what we used to call it. It's the Zillow Zestimate, right? And it's really a guesstimate, is what it is. It's not as true and accurate as the comps that an actual agent can pull utilizing information from an MLS system or even reaching out to appraisers who have helped close deals in that local area. But there's like tons and tons of money being left on the table because a property was underpriced before going on the market. And the other thing is sometimes sellers don't have realistic expectations. And oftentimes they may
That is
want
true.
or demand different things. I remember this. This is really embarrassing what I'm about to say, but this is what happened. Um, so in one area that I used to live in, and I'm just going to keep everything very vague. It was a very prominent area, but in that particular area, the property values were really high, and so you have individuals who will just put a price tag on their property just because of what the other houses are selling for in the neighborhood. What they haven't taken into consideration is maybe some of the upgrades that individual, the neighbor, have done to her property before they put it on the market. And I tell you, one day I went into one particular home. These in this particular market, the property average property was about 500,000. We went into a beautiful home. There was dirty laundry lying around, but get this, there was actually a dirty baby's pamper lying on the center kitchen island. I mean, you cannot, I can't make this stuff up. You cannot just put your house on on the market and just expect to receive top dollar if you're not marketing it correctly. And that's where it comes in. That's where I say it's best to
I
bring
will
an
add to
expert
that.
in. Go ahead.
I will add to that in that I have seen pictures on Zillow of for
Oh
sale
my
by owners,
goodness.
and I was like, this is a little different. I mean,
Right. Very different.
phone, I'm not
Very
100%
different.
sure, but the pictures are locked off. They don't look right. There's stuff in the picture. If you're not a professional, you wouldn't know. You're not supposed to take pictures like that. You need to declutter. You need to take off your personal items everywhere. You need to do things like pack up and put
Correct.
things in a specific spot. And they don't know that. And so they put their house up there. And sometimes, if you call a for sale by owner, you say, hey, listen, why are you selling it yourself? Typically they'll tell you it's because they don't have the money to sell, they don't want to use whatever. And sometimes they may pay agents, sometimes they may not. So what I did, I ended up getting a for sale by owner, and I said, hey, in this property. It's interesting. And the lady invited me in to see the property because the market was hot. She thought she could sell it herself, and she could because I'm going to bring a client to. And I said to her, are you going to pay me 3% or whatever percentage it was at the time? And she said, yep, I will. So we get to going, and the client likes it. And my client, right, I kind of doctored it up a little nicely for my buyer, and the seller didn't have a clue. And after she signed the contract, she asked me, could I help her with certain things, some ministerial acts. You ever heard that? Ministerial acts like
Yes.
termite moisture, title company. I helped her, all right, while I kindly overhelped my client. Since she didn't want representation, I'm licensed and I got to put it on there. And I told her she has it. We
That's
took
it.
full on advantage. She was like, well, so wait a minute. I wrote the contract, making sure she paid all the closing costs, all of my commission, extras for the buyer, all that. She didn't have a clue. She thought she was doing a thing. She probably went around bragging. I sold my own house. I made her sign off on all the repairs down to the knobs on the door. She lost on that one, but I had her
Yeah.
repainting the house. Oh, you wouldn't believe it. It was I went in,
Well,
and some people goes, that's not nice. You took advantage of her. I
well,
did and
no, you
did
didn't.
and did.
Listen, you
She
were doing your
she stabbed
job
her own
because
self.
you owe a
I represent
fiduciary
my buyer.
responsibility to your client. So, no, you did
I
not.
did.
And that leads me
I
to
did.
this. I like to say this when you go into a real estate transaction without representation, in my opinion, it's like showing up in the courtroom and the other party has an attorney and you don't. You're just on your own.
It's true.
And
It's true.
it's
That is
no
so
and
true. And they don't know it.
right. So it's
To
going
save a
into a
buck,
trans
just to save a couple
right.
dollars. Yeah.
Going into a transaction without professional representation, because I'm saying that because not all real estate professionals are created equal. So it is your responsibility to vet the individual you want to represent you. And the individual you want to represent you is going to be the person who is looking out for your best interest legally. I need to put that in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard because I believe real estate agents like myself, maybe yourself, make it look so easy. And I know
Yes.
I do that because when I show things like my TV, which is my Facebook and Instagram, I'm not
Mhm.
showing but the day of everybody smiling and kiki because they got their home, or kiki because they sold their home at top dollar. The all the little intricate details are missing. So
Yes.
people look at me or you or whoever's posting and they're like, wow, if she can do it, I can do it too. Well, if it were easy,
Yeah.
everybody would be successful at it. Now, you could do it, but what level of success are you going to enjoy? Are you going to get
Hmm.
a deal here and maybe a deal there and maybe and then go back and forth and try to figure it out? Or are you going to be serious, take it serious, represent people the way they should be represented? I mean, come on. Everybody can do a part-time gig. You got part-time insurance agents. You got part-time,
Yeah.
salespeople. You got part-time a lot of things. But when
Hmm.
everybody's looking for a representation, I think they're looking for someone who's dedicated, serious, and does it for a living. Because if you live,
That's
breathe, and
it.
eat a thing, you're going to be better at it because you put your heart and soul versus the girl that works 9 to 5 at Verizon. Nothing wrong with Verizon, and then does real estate
Yes.
after work. So it's a
Yes.
little bit different.
I agree. I agree. But I have to tell you, and I just in having conversations with my clients, and you know what, every now and then I'll throw in something from the angle of commercial. But even when it comes down to leasing commercial property, there are so many tenants that go directly to the landlord's agent
Direct.
to
I get those
negotiate
calls.
space. And there is
They
so
can't get out the
much.
lease. They signed the wrong lease. They don't know anything about a LOI. They just show
They
up,
didn't know
and
what
that
they
landlord,
took advantage of them. They didn't know what they could
totally.
ask
I get those
for.
calls.
I know. And you know what? And we
I
get
get
those
those calls
calls.
all the
Now, I
time.
will say this. I will get, and hats off to those individuals who look into obtaining commercial space on their own. And as they get into the, they're navigating through the LOI, letter of intent, and then the light bulb goes off, and it's like, wait a minute, hold it. I'm going to need some help. And so then they call me, right? Um, and so the call that I then have to make to the other agent, because they've already got the ball rolling. You know that thing called procuring cause, right? And so I
Mhm.
now have to say, pardon me, my client has brought me on to represent he or she, him or her. They were unaware of the intricate details that they'd be involved in negotiating this transaction, and they've asked me to assist them. So, in an instance like that, depending on how far along they've gotten, I have to tell the tenant at this point, I can come in and help you, but you will be responsible for paying my brokerage fee. I cannot,
And
in the
that's listen.
middle of a transaction, when the other
Well,
agent has been doing all that he or she has been doing, to
yeah.
ask for a commission. It just doesn't work that way. Um,
Well,
but go ahead.
representation is not equivalent to compensation. So
No,
you
it
can
isn't.
always hire somebody mid-sentence. So if you hire somebody right the day before closing, it doesn't matter. You can hire them. You just can't
Yeah,
expect that the seller, the lessor, or anybody else is going to compensate on your behalf. And the way things are going now
absolutely.
anyway, the sellers and lessors are not responsible for that regardless. So I
Right.
always tell people, if you're going to bring me in at the end of the play and the curtains are going up, you're responsible, just like you
That's
stated.
it.
And then that's when they're
Yeah.
like, well, I don't have it. Well, you can't bring me on. I'm not free. I'm not a charity. I don't work at church.
Correct.
At church, I'm volunteering, but here I'm not. So we can't
Yes.
expect that I'm going to come in and here's what bothers me and
Go
gets in my
ahead.
crawl. Calm myself and count before I say it.
Woosah.
When people are in a transaction and they don't want your help, in other words, they don't want you to be compensated, but they want you to give them sound advice throughout the entire process, but they do not want representation. You tell me how it makes sense. Make it make sense. And
I'm not even
I
going to
have to
waste
tell them,
time.
sorry, ma'am.
I'm not even going to waste time with that one. I'm just not.
Why? That's a good one.
No, it may be good for you, but I've got other things to do with my time.
Those calls do come in, and
Right.
when they
They
do,
do.
it's like, I know you didn't just tell me that you went and did all this,
Yeah.
knew what you were supposed to do, or I don't know the person. Let me say I don't know them, because my clients are not slow and they're not doing that, because they
No.
would probably get headlocked by me. They call you after they've done something. You get a phone call and they're like, well, I'm already this and I'm already that, but I was wondering if you could help me out. Ma'am, no, sir. I
Yes.
can't. I cannot step into any other fiduciaries. You get what you get. You don't get
That's
upset.
it. That's it. That's it.
So that's
It-
really
it-
it. But anyway, guys, I would love to hear from anybody who wants to talk more on this topic. We love to hear questions, answers, ideas, comments, all of those things if you have them, because we don't know everything. We're just talking from our vantage point. We're just two chicks that are talking about real estate. We've done it for decades and we love what we do, still doing it, still there, very well versed in it. But our experience is only our experience. So we'd love to hear from you guys. So if you do have anything you want to add, please feel free to like, share, subscribe. We thank you for tuning into our channel. And again, this is Queen and April, right?
April.